One take. Hello, Mr. Moyo.
In it.
What's going on?
Nothing now going. Everything is nice. Everything is swell as usual.
Yes. Just said that.
But I bring up my Jamaican side.
Yes, listen, I wasn't gonna do that. I wasn't gonna play the songs like from the kid. But anyway, hello Patreon family. This is your special episode, and we've got Mr. Sena Moyo that is joining us today. Sena, I think people know you by now. Yeah, we're all family.
Yeah, they know me, but I think with each episode of the podcast we release, I always feel like there's a little bit that I give each time, and then eventually it becomes like, okay, now I have an idea of who Sena is. But even at that, there's still like a lot of things which I intentionally just keep within.
What do you want to share today?
Sabona as we go.
Okay, I want to get into it. Right? So, copulation politics. Starting right there. So you guys on your podcast, 6 Foot Ways, you talked about, I think you touched on it, but you guys were kind of sanitizing it and trying to be, PC.
Yes, because it's important in these days of cancel things.
Exactly.
I'll tell I'm probably the most. He'll say something and then I'll be like, how will the Twitter environment receive that? Like I always kind of have to be pragmatic sometimes. Like, how will that go? But yeah.
But don't you think that kind of cramps your creativity?
In a way. So, and kind of that's where we balance things out a bit. So, for example, the intro song from last week, when I found it in my hard drive, and I was listening to them again, I was cringing. I was like, yo, is this really me? Like, was this the old me? Like, this is what I was doing with my life at the time. And then I was like, okay, cool. Shelf that away. I sent it to Tabo, and then he's like, we gotta use this as the intro. And I was like, no, like, it's not like you're talking about pum-pums and tightness and all these things. I don't think that's going to be well received. First of all, like I was just like, nah. And then then him and my cousin convinced me, and they're like, okay, we gotta go with it. And then that's how we ended up with it. So it does stifle to some extent, but at least if you have someone who can balance it out and be like, no, let's push the boundary, it ends up in a good way, or in a good space.
Yeah. Okay. But I want to come back to that. But just a little interlude. So for the people who don't know what Sena is talking about, I'm gonna play a little bit. I hope it works.
Open up your leg them. Me no other man never been in them. The picking them. Girl, me want to fuck you like a porn star. Buckle up, backseat in my car. Bumpy ride up down, me no one come. The thing said we are sounding up the alarm. Girl, me feel.
Said I don't know who you've got copyright, so let me not play it for too long.
I do the copyright in the song, the instrumental, everything vests with me. I own all the rights.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll send you the full song as a little gift from me to you.
Yes,
but and I won't release the whole next.
I want the last song too. Then I really like it.
Okay, cool. I'll send them both. Them both.
But I actually think you should put that one out.
I
think you should.
Let me think about it myself internally.
Okay, no, you can do something which is fun. Like you guys are trying to fundraise for Queen Elizabeth. Like you can say, oh, if I don't know, like just
maybe you can do that. Actually, I'll drop the mixtape if we manage to raise enough money for someone's tuition or someone's rent for a month or something like that. Maybe I'll do that if it works.
Yeah.
And then Okay, maybe I'll think about it. I'll chat to Tabo and we'll see how we package it.
Exactly, because think about it. Think about your kids and like future generation. Like I think it'll be interesting. It's like, this is oh, Baba, this message to the youth, them. and then you like I said, I would think I was saying this to you before we press record that I'm a music lover. Like I love music.
Yeah,
I know what goes into making
the process.
and I know like the passion that goes into it. So I just think, listen, just put it out. And sometimes you don't know like what may happen. One day someone will be like, oh, we want to use this for an ad. And it's like just drop
Maybe
100K.
maybe that could work. But I think I was at the time I was very passionate about it.
Mm.
And it was a phase, like I said on the podcast. But then I think I had them on SoundCloud, and then I just outgrew the whole thing, and I just took them all off, and then I put them into a folder, external, hid them, stashed them away. So then I found them like, oh, that's some interesting stuff.
Yeah. No, because I think, I don't know, because I was listening, right? And I was like, oh, okay, this is, you because you guys always start with like an instrumental and like beats and stuff.
Yeah.
And okay, this is, I was doing my nails at the time. I was like, oh, this is interesting. It's interesting. And then I think sort of like 4 minutes in, then Tam was like, I was like, wait, because I had to run. I was like, wait, is this Stella? Because I just thought it's a random song. Anybody there. And then like I was like, oh, what was happening in your life? I was like, wait, what?
And then I think you're the third person to say then you had to go back and listen again.
I had to go back
with the knowledge.
I had to go because I was listening, just thinking, oh, you just put, you're just trying to change the flavor. And then I had seen a tweet either from Tabo or from your account, from 6 Foot Ways account, which is like, acting at King Kandor, saying, oh, once you listen to this, Senna will be a certified ghetto youth. So I just thought, oh, because you put the song, and
yeah.
Did I know? Like, Senna's got a whole mixtape.
Got a whole mixtape. I have a whole mixtape. Hey, it was such a, it was, and the act of actually putting it and deciding eventually, let's just go with it. It was just, well, people can't all just know lawyer guy.
Yeah.
Before the IP Thursdays, there was the dance hall Rasena.
Yeah. No, I think don't let that die. And shout out to Likwa, because Likwa's actually on our Patreon as well. Hopefully because Likwa was going in like he was like, oh, this is so great. I know Likwa is such a big fan of you guys, but he was really because at first I was like, I know we're all joking and we're all like, but the second one I was like, I can't even front. Like, this is like low key. Like, I love it. And then I just put it out there because I'm like, I'm waiting for people to drag me. And then like, the boy was on it. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
It's you feel like it's not cool to be like, say that this was good.
So it was, when I listen to it now, I don't think it was great. At the time of recording, I thought I'm making fire tunes, and then as you grow, you're like, really? Are we sure? Was it that great? And then I listen to it and then I cringe. I'm like, well, it actually wasn't great. And then I pick out like little things which could have been better, or in the delivery, or even in the lyrics. And I'm like, I don't think that was great. Or I don't think I was as talented as I thought I was at the time. Because back then you just, you're thinking, whatever, wherever the world takes me, let me just go for it. You never know. But yeah, I'll send you the tracks, and I'll look for the other ones once I'm able to get my external back again.
And can we share them like on our Patreon?
Yeah, on your Patreon, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
no problemo.
The Patreon guys, you're gonna get the songs.
The full tracks.
like I said, like the beat was amazing. Like the second song, especially, can tell whoever mastered it and mixed it did it well. Like they took their time. Was it your friend, the one you say?
Yeah, my friend Calvin. Yeah, so he's like brilliant. He's always just had an ear for music, and he's like super talented. So back at the time, like I said, we just met in varsity. He was just a guy that I sat next to in class. And then one day I was playing dancehall, and he's like, "Yo, these are my things. Come through, let's record." So the first instrumental on the first song, the intro, he made it start to finish, the keys, everything. And then the second one, we took an existing instrumental from a rhythm which not very known. And then we just recorded it and then put it out there. And that was dope.
Nah, it was dope. Who's your favorite like reggae? I think I know. Who's your
Favorite reggae artist?
yeah.
Oh, that's such a difficult question. Can I split them into three categories?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the reggae, like old school reggae guys. I think Lucky Dube for me is the one I enjoyed listening to the most.
Really?
Maybe closely followed by Bob Marley, and then maybe Peter Tosh and Buju. But Lucky Dube for me, I think that was top. In modern reggae and dancehall, there's Christopher Martin, the guy who sang Cheetah's Prayer.
That's
Love
what I
him.
was
He's
gonna say.
brilliant. Like in modern day reggae, he for me, I think he's probably the best all-round reggae artist around. And then in like your dance hall, like your dirty whatever stuff, the fast upbeat club music, I really like listening to Popcorn and Alkaline, but probably I think for longevity, Vibes Cartel is right at the top.
That Vibes is my favorite. Listen, Romping Shop.
Exactly.
Because the lyrics.
So if you actually listen to Pum Pum Tight, it was inspired by a lot of cartel stuff at the time that I listened to. I listened to Ramping Shop. I listened to Like a Jockey, Ever Blessed. All these songs, you need earphones to listen to them because they are rude as hell. Ramping Shop, Ever Blessed, and a couple others just weird songs that were rapping about the pum pum and the tightness and all these things. And then I'm like, okay, fine, I'm going to do this. And then I did it.
Yeah. No, love it. Okay, so talk about pum pum tights. I want to go back to
Copulation politics. We took a detour.
So Zana. So Wenkosi tweeted Wati, and shout out to Wenkosi, she's on our Patreon too. She's like, my friend and I were having conversations surrounding the picture below. So the picture below is, I don't even know if I do this, if you guys will see. So it is a picture of shoes with different heel sizes, right? From like 2 inches to 6 inches, right? I think you guys can see. So she tweeted and like, my friend and I were having a conversation surrounding the picture below, and I remember 6 foot weight guys saying Amanye Beno are single because my pumps flat. My friend is part of the 4+ inch crew, like single. So what say you're in this case? What would? So I mean, the responses were kind of like, I saw people like first of all, I saw the responses first, and people were like, "I'm a 4-inch girl. I'm a this." I was like,
and we were reading them like, oh, guys, are we still talking about heels? Because at some point, I was just reading them, and I was like, maybe my mind is the one that's in the guy. Because I'm like, inches, 4, 5, 6. I'm like, oh, okay, guys. Oh, go on here.
Here is what killed me, right? Someone tweeted and said, it responded and said, I draw the line at 4 inches, right? I think obviously this person was being double tando. No, let me not say that. I don't know. And then someone responded, a guy responds and says, I pray you will apply this standard across all areas with the praying hands. And I'm like, you're trying to tell us what you're working with already. yeah, people were like 4.5 to 6 inches any day. Wow. And then someone responded, right? And was like, and it, shout out, I've got love for this person. Someone who I think has, a sizable following on Twitter, right? Was like, oh, there's
Yeah.
nothing more annoying than men telling women what to wear to be attractive to them. And even when it's said for bands, it's symptomatic of the misogyny that exists in population politics, where standards for women are way higher than they are for men. Full stop. Yeah. So I don't want to like focus on that response, and because
Okay.
I think so. I read that and I was like, because I was laughing at you and all that.
Yeah, and
Like,
I think that includes. I think me and Tabo were a bit not taken, but were surprised because I think we'd even forgotten how and in what context we delivered that thing, and then I actually had to go back to that episode just to listen again to say, wait, were we offensive in any way? But I picked up that it wasn't just, and perhaps maybe when you're taking a tweet out of context, potentially it can come off as if these guys were just bashing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I was like, I
Women
don't
in
really want to
heels.
focus on that response.
Yeah,
That response was that response.
sure.
But then I think it goes to what you guys were saying in the episode, that it's it's something that was said, right, within a certain environment, within a certain dynamic, within a certain context, right? And then
Yeah.
when you hear it outside of that, then like, I mean, it's just like, oh, how did we get here from,
Yeah.
from that? And I think it's symptomatic of, like podcasting and
Yeah.
where you put yourself out there, because I feel like, and I'll be honest with you, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm jumping, but for me, I'm now more careful about stuff that I tweet about. Like, I feel like
Yes.
my social media is not my own anymore. I don't enjoy it in the same
As
way I
much.
did, say,
Yeah.
3+ years ago, right?
Yeah. And your following's probably grown a lot
It's
since then.
and it's sometimes, and I realize it, like, you tweet something and then someone will be like, and then someone will say something and you're like, flipping hell, people remember this, and you're just like, no, I'm just too exposed. And for me,
Yeah.
I've just always been like, yeah, I think it's one of the like Colin, I always say that it's one of the dangers of putting yourself out there,
Out there.
because literally your opinion is up for, people can just say whatever. And
Yeah.
obviously, like in this case, again, it's the whole like taking a snippet of something and then making it out to be something that is not. But
Yeah.
what I yes, I just kind of wanted to find out like how you kind of feel about it, and how, what you're, I don't know, like, just kind of like, what are the things that you kind of have in place that you're thinking, oh, we need to be a bit more careful, whatever. What I will say, and is, for me, and that's what I liked about what you guys did, because I love the fact that you didn't respond on Twitter, because that's the worst thing you could have done.
Yeah.
What, you don't agree?
No. So me and Tabo take different, and that's sometimes I wish people could see like behind the scenes how we reason with certain stuff. Because like something happens, then I take a screenshot. I'm like, my G, check this out.
Yeah.
And then I'm usually more inclined to respond.
Okay.
In a let me put out fires type response. Your normal sort of PR fire extinguisher, sort of in an humble apologetic type of way. That would usually be no, don't take it seriously. It was like this, but apologies if you're offended, whatever. Tabo will be like, fuck it. Either one, we reply with a joke, or we ignore it.
Yeah.
Like there was a time I think I responded to someone and then he took a screenshot. It's like, my G, why are you responding to this? I'm like, I don't know. I felt like it was the right thing to do. He's like, no, ignore it. and it comes with the territory. I once had, I'm not sure if I've actually ever spoken about this, but there's 2 IP Thursdays that I've done, which most of them I do a shitload of research and I read, and when I come on Twitter, I've read up like a lot of sources and a lot of stuff. There were 2 where my tone wasn't, I won't say it wasn't the best, but my tone took a side, because it's usually meant to be a bit neutral. I think it was the Nicki Minaj one. My tone took a side and my bias towards Tracy Chapman showed when I wrote the thread.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of bots that pick up anything you tweet about Nicki Minaj. I don't know how these accounts do it. But they do
not
it.
The Bobs dragging.
Yo, no, I literally had to. I muted it an hour after posting, and I've never gone back to that thread ever again, like since I posted. So, to answer your question, are there controls and things we put in place? The only thing you can do is just listen back to the podcast before it drops. So Tabo does that every week, and we just listen to anything which, if maybe we got too excited and we said something funny, can remove, which is usually hardly ever. So most of the time we don't even make edits to the thing. We just drop it as it is.
Okay, so I totally agree with Tabo on this. No,
like just fuck it, leave it alone.
So there's this thing, I was trying to look for it, right?
Yeah.
This okay, so maybe IP Thursday is a bit different because you put all your content on there, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if you wanted to kind of respond or clarify, then it's fine because you've used that platform to put that, right? But if someone has something critical to say about the podcast, even if they've listened to it and or whatever, my stance, right, and what I would advise, I don't think you should use another platform to respond,
to deal with it,
because Twitter doesn't allow, it's not a long form, like you have to put your explanation in words, in
120 characters,
exactly, and it's not the same. And then what you are doing, you invite people who are not who did not listen to the original content to have a view, right?
True, I guess so.
So
but I free speech, right? I like criticism, I like opinions. I like it when people tell us, oh, you guys, Senna, sometimes when you record, sometimes we can't hear you, so speak louder. That's cool. Or, oh, Senna, your opinion on this. Like there's a time I think we cracked a joke about I think it was that the top 20 women to marry in Africa, and number 1 was Zim women, and we laughed. Now, there was obviously a lot of banter going on with it, but I think the fact that we laughed, there was someone who felt like, come on, guys.
Okay.
Yindab. So, and I was very happy to receive that. Like, no, I listened to it, and I just, for me listening, I felt like, no, your laughter, the two of you were making banter, but it almost felt as if you don't rate Zim women. I'm like, no, we do, but sometimes we just like to make jokes because the jokes gotta fly, as Tabo would put it, and the jokes gotta fly. Yeah.
Okay, no, so I'm not saying don't, how can I put it, right? I just think, right, I keep looking for this thing. There's this thing in the Art of War. I used to be one of those people who used to read 48 Laws of Power, Art of War, but it says when you're fighting, right? I know the sounds dramatic, but fight from your terrain, right?
Okay, I see that.
So all you're saying, you can respond on your podcast.
Okay.
Not on,
because that's the platform where the alleged offense occurred.
And that's your platform, right? So if someone is so unhappy, they have to press play on give you views, listen to what you have to say, and it allows you to explain it a little bit more, right? So I remember one time I said something on, and listen, and I still stick by it. So I say, I don't care, right? I talked about an experience where I dated this guy who did not
Yeah.
drive, right?
Who did not drive.
He did not drive.
Okay.
Mhm. I drive, he did not drive, right?
Okay.
And that's absolutely fine. But then the dynamic that we then had was sometimes he would come, whatever, then I would drive and then I would take him back home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Now it's a bit, it's not weird, it's not awkward, but I can see how it's not in a social dynamic the mainstream line. But what I'll say is it's not the thing that happens all the time. It's usually the other way around. The guy drives, he picks up the girl, he drops her off at home. He's more liberty. Like I've once, well, I'll say dated a girl who drove and I drive. Literally, when we started hanging out, she would park her car because there was never, let's use mine. Maybe every once in a while. But even if we're using hers, I'm driving.
Yeah.
That kind of, I get what you mean.
No,
I get what you mean.
So what I said on the podcast that was Uguti, and I was sharing my experience. I was like, literally every time I would drive and I would take him home, right? And then we'd do the whole thing, like take him to his house, bye bye, he'd come out, right? And then, I kind of move the car, and then like I do this thing of like through the rearview mirror, I'm looking to see if he's, going by the door.
Yeah.
Opens the door, he gets to the door, he opens, gets in, and then he turns back around and does this thing of like bye. And then I was like, because I have to make sure he's gone into the house safe.
Make sure he's safe.
And I was like, my respect for him just kept dropping every time I dropped him, right? And listen, let me tell you something, and I know it's what I'm saying is a bit problematic. I mean, and
it's not problematic at all, though.
Well,
we were thinking it. Like at the time, we were thinking. We're just like,
yeah. That's how I felt. But again, I do think, Uti, if it's somebody that you really, really liked, like I wouldn't even share the story. Do you know what I mean? Like I would be. So I say that. Oh my God! So then what happened? That someone tweeted and was like, "Oh, Ed Malaika Diva, what's wrong with men who don't drive?" Or something like that. What did you mean? Can you please explain? And and then you see. So me, I social media is my thing. I am so I watch how people move. Then you'll be seeing my likes, all the likes. You can see like they're gathering around. So
so now you're going to check out who's out here.
That tweet was now like 22 likes. I was like, oh my God. And you just know, yeah. And then someone responded, was like, "Oh no, babe, this doesn't make you less of a man." Just lying to the person. "Oh, it doesn't make you less of a man. I'll give you a ride any day." And then the things that Twitter people do, like, "Oh, hugs, whatever." Not driving doesn't. I was looking at them like, bruh.
I like to see these people in real life.
And then I was like, and then I just respond, and then I was like, no, what did I say? I was just like, oh, I'll explain in the next episode.
Okay.
I was like, I'll explain.
I'll do that. And did you actually go and explain like your position and your thoughts?
Yeah,
because I have a very easy
No, I just said I was just like, no, I know it's problematic.
But it's not problematic, because if I then come to you and I say, and I thank the Lord that he blessed me with decent height, because if you're a short guy, right, no one sees an issue with a woman saying, I would like to date someone taller than me, preferably. It's kind of just been an accepted thought that as a woman, it's fine to like a tall guy. Now, how is that different? Because it's all about optics, right? All these things that people are uncomfortable with, or if you don't want a guy to drop off a guy or you driving a guy around, it's optics and the general feel and how we perceive relationships and how we want our relationships to look and to be. Now, once a guy is shorter than a woman, all of a sudden the girlies are, yeah, no, indoda maybe of a certain height, but it's all the same. Like it's all in the same category. I don't think it's problematic. I think preference is a thing, and there's a lot of times where I think in these copulation politics, me and Tabo will touch on something stupid that will say XYZ aguletis tunes. One of those I remember, I'm not sure if you remember, we mentioned, I think we're just having banter about izinto that can diminish isithunzi sakho. One is, I think we call it dancing at the club, uvuli circle, and you're out here and I was like, no, stuff like that. No one's going to have respect for you as indota if that's your thing. So it extends to other things. And that was unfortunately just the one that you picked, and someone out there probably internalized it and was like, all right, why lapa? I must correct. I must deal with it. I mean, if that's the case, then we're going to be nitpicking everything that people take as preferences. Sibesa City, I have a problem. They saying you want to date tall guys is an issue. No, it's not an issue. It's just into that you prefer.
Yeah. And to be fair, all these things go out the window when you really like someone. Like if I met someone that I really liked and they didn't, like, it wouldn't bother me. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't even
Yeah.
share it. Like I wouldn't even care. But then I think it goes to what I was saying at the beginning about the creativity process, because I think Uti, like, as guys, right? So I was gonna say weird, but I'm not weird. But I like listening to podcasts of people that are very different to me, right? So one of my favorite podcasts used to be like the Joe Budden podcast when it was still the Joe Budden podcast, right?
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity.
Masculinity.
Toxic. But
yeah.
I don't know, you guys probably have looked at the numbers. Do you know that guy podcasts do so well? Right, and the reason they do well, they may not do well in terms of social media comments and all that sort of stuff, but it's because when guys just are like themselves, right? Because guys feel like they can't be themselves on Twitter or whatever, because to be fair, some men do sometimes have problematic views,
definitely,
but in terms of the audio video world, like, and that's what I was kind of saying, Muti, obviously, don't be toxic, but at the same time, I think many people also gravitate to you because they're like, yeah, like, we just want to hear the real, like, we just really want to hear like unfiltered thought, like what do guys kind of really think,
so what do guys think when I wear pumps?
Yeah.
Like what goes through a guy's mind when I'm wearing pumps and a jean skirt and what we call Jesus sandals and all those things. You know what? So a very funny trend that we picked up very early on, a couple of months in. So when we started, it was mostly just people that we knew that listened to the podcast, or people that were interactive with on Twitter and from high school and from varsity. We're like, let me just hear what these guys have to say.
Yeah.
Funny enough, most of the people we know personally, I have found very few still listen as attentively as a lot of people who stumbled on it. That was one thing that I've just recently realized, that I'll talk to some of my friends who listened to the very first episode out of curiosity, like, what's Senna talking about? And then with time, they've kind of slowed down and they also listen, but not as attentively as maybe some people that I've never met in my life who, they'll email us, they'll tweet us all the time. And I'm like, yo, thank you so much. The other thing that we picked up was the female listenership, or the women that listen to podcasts, very quickly just became more than the actual guys who listen to it. And I found that fascinating. Is it just because girls are usually not privy to conversations that are being had between two guys, and it's like, oh, actually, this is a different take, different perspective altogether. I don't understand why, but I found that fascinating. I was like, that's dope.
I mean, I can give my thoughts on that, right? As someone who listens to your podcast and someone who's interested in this whole world, right? Um, First of all, actually, the reason why guys generally do better is because audiences do not like listening to women speak. Like there's actual data out there, right? And it starts from the whole like, oh, women nagging, and like there's actual research
Mm,
that's been done, right? Which says like a woman's voice, like more people will gravitate to a male voice, and it's probably because like media has always been very male heavy,
we've
so
always
the
shoved a
sound that you
man
all
in our faces and on our ears.
yeah, so the sound that we're really kind of familiar with, and the sound where you think someone knows what they're talking about, is more likely male. So generally that's why
Okay.
women only like don't necessarily do as better, right? Because people like the sound of male voices.
Male
That's just the
voices.
science, right? But I
Okay.
think the other thing is like you said, like people want to hear. People look at you guys, people look at Tower Center, they're like, oh, good looking lads. I want to hear what they gotta say, you know. And I think women understand that sometimes we are in a bit of an echo chamber, right?
Okay.
In terms of just our online, how you curate, like, oh yes, girl. But it's kind of like, you know, you each have your own private thoughts, like, "Nah, these girls are lying to me. Let me hear what's really going on." So you want
Some of those comments and tweets and like, yes, girl, and you're like, okay, cool, all right.
no, but
Like,
but you
girl, that dress, and I'm like, ah,
no,
all right.
there's a place for that, right? There is a
Definitely.
place for women validating each other, because especially like black women on online spaces and janjan. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, I was listening to Three Shots a while back. They were like, women will just be like, oh, I can't breathe. It's like, fam, you're breathing very well. Like this. And then I
Yeah.
think the other things, like, it's definitely that. But think the other thing with you guys, right? Why I personally like you guys, and I'm always kind of just, you know, trying to like amplify your original, right? Have you ever listened to stuff and you're like, you guys are trying to be the version of this, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
you
It's
listen
like,
to stuff and you're like, you're trying to be the like, be original. So for me, it's like I listen to 6 Foot Waves. I'm like, okay, Tab was talking about stock exchange and all that stuff. You talk about IP Thursday. You've got your Siazam. Like you can tell the structure is original. It's not trying to, you know, there's certain things that you listen to and it irks me because I'm like,
this is borrowed from somewhere else. Yeah, well, kind of what also in the beginning, uh, I was a bit. So we did 3 episodes before we actually got to the one we released as our first one. So I think it was trial and error. And I think we sent it to Tabo's fiance, and she kind of had a listen first. And was like, oh, Senna, don't try and be or curate a personality for the podcast, because obviously on Twitter you're tweeting the IP Thursdays and whatever. Maybe there's a perception people have of you, which is it's fine, but people will want to listen because they want to see beyond that. And then we tried it. We're like, okay, we'll just make it like it's just us having a conversation the same way we would every week. The only difference is we're now pressing record
yeah,
and
yeah,
adding just a bit of structure and format and other little things to it. But most of the time, it's just the way we've just always spoken to each other over the last, 17 years, whatever we've been friends.
mm,
And that was kind of important in just making sure it's relatable and original, I guess.
It has to be, because you would rather like people like dislike or like, you'd rather people like you than like some
Yeah.
the version of you.
The version of some, or pretend some sort.
Yeah. And I remember, I think I think I remember saying this. I was tweeting this Labo Tuva, because at the beginning, because I was like, it took me a while to be like, who's Senna and who's Tam, because you guys never used to introduce yourselves, right? So
Yes.
I think at first, I don't know if you guys kind of took offense to that, because you're like, but because I could tell, I was like, but they have to understand that there's a broader like audience
Listening.
that is coming in at episode 11 or whatever and just hasn't listened.
Mm.
And what was interesting to me was like, I was like, because Tabo on Twitter is funny, but he doesn't, you don't really see, like, he's funny, but he's not a Twitter guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a
Yes,
Twitter
yes.
he reaction, like he'll give
Yes.
reactions,
He's
right?
he's there, he's for the laughs.
Yeah. So you never really kind of know what he's about. You have like the IP Thursday and stuff like that. So when I listened, I was like, wait, Tabo sounds serious. I thought it was Senna. And then like you, I was like, wait. Because I also had that thing of like, I thought Senna. So it's been so interesting for me, kind of
Mm.
like just hearing more of the depth and hearing more of the laughs. And
Yeah. I think I remember your tweet, because I think Tab was the one who responded to it, and he's like, guys, are you saying you left voice here IP Thursday? I'm like, but who?
yeah,
And it was,
yeah. And I think my
yeah.
boss was like, no, you guys need to introduce yourselves.
Yeah. And that's when I think we started doing that. But at the time, we didn't think to do it. We just
Yes.
felt, oh, okay, everyone knows it's Senna and Tabo. We just come, we talk. Surely they know who Senna is, surely they know who Tabo is.
Yeah.
And then it didn't click also until you mentioned it in your tweet that actually no one knows the difference between the two. So I was like, okay, we gotta fix this. And that's when we actually started saying, okay, hi, I'm Tabo and I'm Senna, and then take it from there.
Yeah. No. So okay, just taking a little segue, but so I saw there was a video online that I saw, which okay, so this guy was doing Peloton. First of all, what is Peloton? Like, it seems
Peloton.
like, it's this, I don't know, I think it's this whole kind of like beach body or whatever, like this
Okay.
company, what, and people buy these bikes and they do Peloton classes and all that stuff. I don't know. Okay, an aside, I started doing CrossFit,
Yo,
and
that's intense.
I feel like it's racist. Put my finger on it, but every time I'm like, I'm paying a lot of money for this.
Yeah.
I come here and I feel like it's a racist environment.
Were you the only black person?
No, but I mean, it's mostly white people, because
Okay.
it's crazy
Naturally.
expensive. I live in an area that's been gentrified.
Okay.
And is still progressively being gentrified. So you
Yeah.
see a lot of people being priced out. So you kind of now start seeing Guti, hey, not everyone can afford this and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm paying, and I'm just like, I can't put my pulse. Have you ever been in like environments where there's white people? Maybe it's like a rave or something. Like, I can't put my finger on it, but I smell racism.
A lot of times actually in Cape Town you get it a lot, unfortunately. So I want to talk about work environments, usually because they're forced to like sort of be welcoming and acceptable and comply.
Yeah.
But there are other spaces where you walk into a restaurant, for example, no one had to say anything. They don't have to say no black people, but you walk in and the energy is just not conducive for free black expression. Should I put it that way? Like, I feel like I can't walk in and just be myself and it'll be fine. Or me and my friends, funny enough, we took a road trip this past weekend to Hermanus. It's like 200 k's out of Cape Town, and we went to this restaurant where, so it's a group of us, like 6.
Yeah.
We sat at a table and we were just talking. Like, was no one had to come tell us to keep quiet. But one of my friends, like, guys, I think we're being loud. Like, we didn't have to say it. We didn't have to do anything. We just realized that in that moment, we're being loud and we're being the loud blacks. So let's just turn it down a little bit. And it's I get what you mean. It may not be overtly, but there's an energy at times about certain things.
Exact. And I think you just said it, like, about free black expression. I hadn't thought of it that way, and that's how I feel about the workplace and all that stuff. But anyway, that was an aside on my part. So my question was, with the Peloton guy, he was talking about splitting bills. So he did this video, which I really thoroughly enjoyed, where he was like, don't invite that friend who comes over for brunch and only orders water with lime, right? And then when the bill comes, they're like, I only had water and this. So I just wanted to, like, find out, like, your stance on when you go out, right? Are you each person pays for what they ordered, or are you splitting the bill? And before I ask that question, and I think Uguti also, it's only certain, like, there's certain outings where you kind of know that's the vibe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain outings where maybe Vele, it's like you go somewhere and it's kind of like, it's, maybe you pay before you eat and all that stuff, but maybe particularly like brunches and stuff like that, there's certain vibes where it's kind of like, hey, we're literally all coming together, maybe we're going to order platters or going to order, like, it's supposed to be that vibe where,
So I've been accused by my friends of being Switzerland too much, because usually I'm okay with either way. Like, if the bill comes and I've ordered maybe say fries and other people have ordered burgers, and the bill comes and it's wherever, I'm happy to be like, see 10, it's 2,000, let's just split it 200 each and we just walk out. Right. But I'm also comfortable with saying, let's do the math. Now you're sitting at the restaurant and keep a calculator and you're,
my God.
I hate that process, but I also understand it. Someone maybe who's penny pinching, you're thinking, I came out today in 2,200 notiami saying I'm going to order chips and a beer, and then so well like now, because Sena ordered 200 rand on food alone, I must now contribute to that. Maybe someone is fancy, maybe they're ordering cocktails and all these other things when you just got there to really Castle Light or a Hunters or something small. I also understand that. Where I lean is, let's just split everything down the middle. But if we're going to do that, then people must be reasonable when they're ordering. Or I can't now, just because we're splitting it, order whatever I want. Like, now you must also just take accountability with, maybe for me, I'll just pay a little extra for into Engile, or because I ordered this, I'll just add a little extra. I think that's the most workable solution, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I think to be fair, right? I think if I were to pick, like, a right or wrong, like a right, the right is, I think the default should be people pay for what they ordered, because people ordered according to, like, their pocket, right?
Yeah.
The kind of wrong side of me is kind of like, I don't want to be on that table where people are like
calculating.
I'm like, I know.
I hate that process. I hate it so much. And one thing I've started doing is I'll just be like, all right, if you guys want to calculate this thing, please tell me, do it, and then I'll pay the balance.
Yeah.
Usually the balance is what I have to pay at the end. So I'm usually like, okay with that.
And the worst thing is then the people don't calculate the tip. Like, so the tip is not even there. So they're calculating, and I'm just like, oh my God, I hate that. But then I ended up getting into because I posted on Instagram and then someone was like, oh, but da-da-da. And then like it got into the whole like, oh, but you're a position of privilege. I said, ha, but
My babu.
I said,
My babu.
but they're
Um,
right, they were
mhm,
right, but it's just kind of like there's sometimes a vibe that is just there, right? And you're just
mhm.
like Mina, there's like if I don't have money, I will not go. Only
Angindaw. I miss it at home.
I'm not going anywhere. Only maybe with trusted friends where I literally can be like, dude, I
Ah,
do not
chomi.
have money.
Mm.
And
There, it's fine.
let me be upfront. But yeah, I don't like going out. Ngela
Or a
mali.
friend will be like, I know, I'll cover you, Patesi, and then next time, watch out. That's always better. What I wanted to ask is it also 20%? Is it also 10% in the UK?
I think it's
The
12.5.
yeah, boys. That would just complicate South African maths
Yeah.
because 10% already is giving us stress. 10% is already showing us so many flames. Utolo Muntu is now, because at the back of the bill, usually they come with the pen and then you write each
Mm.
person's amount and then you total it and then pay.
Yeah.
That I found that works. I learned it from white people. I found that works.
Yeah.
10% is showing us so many flames. I'm sure 12.5 would be even worse. No
And they
lie.
normally put it there on the thing, like with 12.5. Oh, okay. And then talking about going out, look, this scenario. So I was listening to this on Rory and Mal's podcast. So they were talking about um Mal's friend, some girl that he dated or used to know, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like a bestie situation, right? She went out with
Yeah.
she was on a date with some other guy, like a new guy. So she told him like, oh, I'm going on a date, I'm going to this place, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So she's on this date, first date with someone else, and the bill comes. Well, I think they finish eating whatever. They're like, oh, the guy's like, bring the bill. And then the waiter comes like, oh, your bill's been paid, right?
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, who paid the bills? Like, no, someone called and cleared the bill or whatever over the phone. Jan Jan.
Okay.
So the dude is like, huh? Like, did you tell anyone that we're coming here or whatever, right? And then she's like,
Yo.
oh yeah, I did tell me. But then in her mind, she's like, I told Mal, right? So
Mhm.
Mal did that cock blocking thing and he paid the bill, right?
Okay, so he decided why was he cockblocked? Okay, yeah,
I
continue.
don't, I don't know. Like, I think, yeah, he says, oh, he was just having a laugh. But then people afterwards in the comments are like, nah, dude, that was not on.
Yeah, it was a low blow.
Yeah.
Because now if I'm a guy, I'm out with you on a date, and then you're gonna tell me that some other guy has settled the bill.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be Ayoba. I won't handle that information very well. It'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so in actuality, there's someone else who's playing boyfriend duties in your life already. Manja, what am I doing here?
Yeah. And how, why does he know that we were coming here? Right? Like,
Well, I guess he can know that you're coming, like as a friend. If it was like a first date or something, then sure.
yeah. But I think I would still, if I were the guy, I'll still be like, you know,
Hella uncomfortable.
why are you so cool with this dude that he knows they're coming here at this time, that we're gonna be here at this time, and all that stuff. But anyway, so it kind of took me back to our bestie, my
Our besties chat.
our besties chat, because I always have a go at you at the whole besties.
The besties saga.
Actually, I saw someone on your Twitter. Someone posted a picture with you and put hearts. Let me see.
Ah, that's my friend Vicky.
No.
But you see, I have many female friends. Okay, let's actually get into this next
Yes,
day.
please.
I think that's the purpose of this Patreon episode. I have many friends, male and female. I have a close knit of best friends. Maybe if I count them on one hand, they're 5, I'll say, which probably include this one girl who's been friends with me since primary school. Like, she is one of my best friends who had on the podcast once, Google.
Okay.
So she's legit, like legit. If I say Tabo, Simba, whoever as my best friend, I'm naming her as well, because I think we also went to varsity together. What I will say is, I think I mentioned this in the podcast, there was a time when one of my exes was uncomfortable with our relationship. Because
is this the one you went to Hillbrow?
Exactly. And when you're friends from home and you're kind of looking out for each other in a foreign country, in Joburg, I can understand how someone, new girlfriend, can feel, actually, I'm not understanding what's happening here. Like, why can't she ask someone else? Why can't she ask commands? But that's, you can have a female bestie, but I know you have a different opinion to me, and you've had it all this time. So that's why I came with a practical live version or example that has been working for. Also, I've been Google the same number of years I've been friends with Google the same number of years as I've been friends with Tabo. It's 17 years. Like, it's literally since. You don't think it can work like that?
No, I don't think so. That's the short answer. The long answer obviously is I can't speak on specifics. You know your friends and the dynamic.
Friendship.
But where I am coming from, right, there's two angles that I'm coming from. So when I talk about the besties thing, it's not a case of like, oh, it's wrong. It's actually like life. I think life partnership is about finding someone that you are friends with, right?
Yes.
To go through life together and go through the journey, through the lows and the highs and the valleys and the peaks of life together. And friendship is just such, I think, a good basis, a good foundation, because love comes and goes. I think love is in waves, right?
100%.
People that have been married for a while, they will tell you that we go through waves, and there's times where like the love is peak, but it's never like always on high. So I just think if you already are such good friends, and like, people underestimate the importance of friendship. Like, it is so important
in a romantic relationship.
Yes, and even in general, like think about it, like friends play such a big role in our lives, and it's the group that is normally so under. If anything happens to you,
friends.
But like, look, say you're getting married and your family will always be put at the front. Your friends will kind of be, but your friends are the ones who've been through the whole journey. Like, so
at the way, I always think about it. I'm like, at weddings, friends kind of take a back seat for family to shine. And then friends just kind of show up in the back burner as just the friends. When they're the ones who probably know all the stories about you, probably know you more than anyone else in your family ever will.
Absolutely. And even like funerals too, right? People understandably, like the family is showered, comforted. No one comforts friends. Like, when friends lose friends, you're just expected to just get on with it. So I just think it's just such a dynamic that is so under. I think it's because it's so broad, right? Like, you can call
anyone your friend.
You can call anyone your friend, but so that's where I'm really coming from, to be honest, because I think it's such a beautiful starting point. And I think
it's a step away from a romantic relationship.
Yeah. And then if you can, meet with because the romance, to be honest, that is a small percentage. Like, it's not as important
I understand that.
Right? So that's where I'm coming from. Uguti, really, for me, if I met a guy and he had a bestie, right? my question would be like, why not?
Why aren't they together?
Yeah, like why don't you try? Like try to be with this person, right? And that's where I'm coming from. This is angle one. And then the angle two, hey, Senna, me as being, the sister who has some years on you, I have seen situations coming full circle. I have seen, listen, this is Patreon. I can be transparent.
All right.
Let me tell you something.
You tell me a story. I have a very funny story for you, but continue. Mine might be a bit long.
It is a lie. Like that you can. So I had. So one of my. One of my exes started out as my bestie.
Okay.
But okay. I think he would say we're best friends. Yeah. Whatever. So what happened is we were friends for a long time. We met in church.
Okay.
We used to go to the same church, and it started from sister Natasha, brother. Okay. So that's why when I tell you, I'm like, and genuinely we were friends. Like we were friends, and then over the years we just used to hang out together a lot. And I actually remember like 2012 Olympics, because they were in London. Like we actually spent that whole summer like and we were friends, right? And the type of friends that when you're both kind of like maybe sing or whatever, you do stuff together, maybe go to the movies or whatever, right? Listen, all I know is one day I was in a car and good night.
The lingering stare.
Good night. Because if you spend enough time around that person.
Wait, so what happened in the car? He kissed you or you kissed him?
He kissed me.
Okay. Yeah, and then that was the
I never make a move. I don't know. There's something about I just don't. But
yeah, of course. You're already like picking up a guy already, net is like also for you. So that makes sense why making a move would also just not be on your list of things you do.
Exactly. And then like but if you had asked me, like, because I knew this person since 2004, I want to say.
Okay.
If you had asked me then, I would have said
never.
Oh, like he's my bros, blah 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 blah. But then time, space, whatever, it all kind of came together, and I was the person who was like, oh, sister, because I was really like into church when I was young and stuff. Like this person looked like, oh, that's his sister from church, and so
and eventually later on you ended up together. So you're now questioning Gucci that whole time. Was it?
No. So that whole time we were truly friends. I don't question Gucci.
Okay.
That whole time was there something? No. It's just I think it just if you find yourself in the same space with someone, the probabilities of things going left increase with the time. So
you spend with them.
Exactly. But then now when I look back, because we like we didn't, like, he left he went to Dubai, whatever, and just we didn't stay together. But when I look back, I'm kind of like, oh, maybe it would have been better if we just stayed as friends, because we're really, 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 really good friends.
Good friends. Because
now it's taken, I think it's only like this year, since maybe 4 or 5 years ago, like after everything, like I just blocked him and everything, and then he had been trying to, as men do, like they try and I don't know. They always
Patch things.
yeah, like always to try and not patch, but more like be friends or whatever,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So and then it's only now that we've started being a bit cordial and stuff, just because
It was an ugly breakup.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay.
Well, okay, so it wasn't. It was more kind of like he was like, "Oh, I'm going to Dubai, whatever," and he went. And I think in a way we just kind of had. I don't know. It wasn't like an intense relationship because maybe, to be honest, maybe we're just better friends.
Then
So it kind of was kind of like that thing where he went and then I was here and was like, okay, we're gonna try and figure it out. Is that we? And then the next thing he told me, he just texted, oh, I'm lobolaring this weekend.
whoa.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
tick.
So and then that's how that kind of, although it had kind of end, but then it was kind of like that
Yeah.
thing of like, oh
Holding on to what if
yeah,
maybe we're still there. And because you've known each other for a long time, probably a world where you don't coexist or aren't something to each other, you couldn't probably imagine it, I assume.
yeah, because I think we're just kind of like going back to kind of being friends and stuff. So then that kind of happened, and then but with him as well, it was more of what had happened. Well, I have like two proper exes, right? So
All right.
he's the second, but
All right.
the first one, like, so he kind of was like the rebound, not rebound, but the person who was there with the hurt and
Yeah. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
As the bestie, me telling him, hey, my team, my get so.
Yeah. She's saying Puma Jolo is not nice.
Yeah, so that's where I'm also coming from, and then even bruh, I can't even. There are very few men who I have been friends with who at one point or another
Didn't.
ah, I don't believe it. Like you will know. Then I'll be like, oh.
I have a story. I've
God.
touched on this one before on the podcast, but I'll probably go into a bit more detail today. It'll probably, you'll probably agree with this, will probably support your argument to some extent. What happened is, I think it was first year varsity, I met this girl. I even remember how we met. Like literally, I was watching TV in the common area. She comes up, she talks to me, hey, and we just clicked, like connected, and then we just became friends. Like over a period of 3 years, from first year to third year, we were like the best friends. To an extent where I was seeing, like I had a girlfriend back home, so I'd left high school with a girlfriend, meet this person. She'd also left high school with a boyfriend, so we meet now in varsity, both of us in long distance relationships, which are funny enough with people who were still in the hometowns, and we just met in Joburg. So we became friends. And over time, we spent a lot of time together. And I'm talking, I'm going to study, let's go. Making food. Oh, so we stayed in the same res. Long story short, same building. I'm making food. Oh, come for dinner. Chill. That kind of a thing, where it would literally be separated by, okay, bedtime. See you tomorrow. Wake up in the morning. Let's link up. Let's go get food. Let's chill. Let's watch a movie. Let's watch series. And that happened for probably a period of 2 years after we met. That was our vibe. I say this because during that period in time, was it 2 years or so, whenever people would ask, you guys, isn't that your girlfriend? I'm like, no, that's my friend. Like, I put her in the same category as Gugu initially. I was like, no, that's my best friend. Literally, met her in varsity. That's my homie. Can't tell me nothing. Then In the third year, probably a little bit earlier than that, I then realized that I was talking to this person more than my actual girlfriend. I was telling her stuff about my day and my life more than I did my actual person that I was with. And so I then decided to break up with my then girlfriend because I felt like it's unfair. Like what it was becoming is a bit, I'm not doing you any favors by, sticking with you like this, or just for the sake of food. Because we're a high school sweethearts type of thing.
Yeah.
But at that time, I also felt like, this relationship is holding me back from just going and boom, being free. Then, I don't have a positive sort of feeling about it. It's now feeling like a burden more than it was something I want to be in. And I have very strong and great feelings about this person who's my friend. But I was realizing that actually I kind of like this girl.
Yeah.
I broke up with my girlfriend. She by convenience or by coincidence, broke up with her then high school boyfriend. We hadn't spoken about it. I just literally walked up to her one day. I'm like, oh no, I broke up with XYZ. And she came to me like, no, I also broke up with XYZ a few days later. Now we are in a situation where we're both single for the first time in varsity. A month or so later, that's when things happened. I was like, dude, listen, I think I'm in love with you, type of thing. Like, nah, I can be a bit romantic too much sometimes, whatever. Did the whole thing, gave her a speech. I think I'm in love with you, blah, blah, blah. We started dating. And it was probably the most intense, best relationships I've ever had. I still put it up there. We were like totally in love. We clicked in a way which I think was rare. I never thought I would experience. Because you always think, I love my girlfriend, until you meet someone and you're like, actually, this is it. This is, the real thing. So that's how besties became, lovers in a way. So how do I put this? I then moved from Joburg to Cape Town because getting a job in Joburg as a foreign national is incredibly difficult because the companies there are prioritizing South Africans from everywhere in the country.
Right.
And you're there now showing up with your green bone, but like, give me a job. They're like, chief, come on now. So I got a job in Cape Town and I moved, but we were both so committed to making it work. We're like, you know what? Long distance, siyaya, siyangena. Boom, into the thing. We do long distance first year, was fine, was very expensive because I was starting working. She was still finishing up a postgrad. But then second year, we kind of started having, I wouldn't say problems, but there were problems. I think because in varsity was so codependent, we did everything together, like shopping, movies, dinner, breakfast, lunch, supper, studying, you name it. Now I'm feeling like, okay, she is now making her own way, rightfully so, by the way. She's making new friends, she's going out more, she's living her life. And I was in Cape Town, but I was still kind of hoping to move back and do, the whole relationship thing and go back to where we were before I left Wits, before I left university. Long story short, in that year, I was, I think, left with 1 year of my training contract, and then I could change firms or then I could move. We broke up. That's probably the biggest heartbreak I've ever gone through. But we broke up, and that was because she had cheated whilst we're doing the long distance. Now, she definitely wanted to like, oh, want to try again. Look, I'm sorry, forgive me. Best thing ever happened to me. But I was like, dude, I'm like in another city. How's this gonna work? And we ended it. That was the end of the relationship. Initially, I was like, don't talk to me. Blah, blah, blah. Then I went and did the worst thing that a broken-hearted person can do, which is start dating someone else sort of straight after that.
Right.
So now I have all my friends saying, gee, are you sure? Like, now the doubts creeps in. Like, no, wait, are you not rebounding? Are you not this? Are you not that? Like, no, guys, I'm fine. Literally, this person is amazing. But honestly, after a few months, I think it was 4 months, I was like, oh, I'm looking at this person through the lens of a very broken heart. And I'm trying to get over a trauma and make a relationship work, whereas I don't feel as strongly about them as I should.
Yeah.
So I ended it, and that was also terrible and ugly, but I won't talk about it now. Now, what then happened is I then decided to date and stay away from getting into a relationship until I was sure that, okay, I am over that situation. So it's not like I haven't like dated other girls. I've dated other girls, but I think yet to feel that kind of same vibe, energy, intensity, and liking for someone type of thing, right? So what happened is we then became friends, me and X. And over time,
After you became friends again.
yeah,
Okay.
so we stayed in touch, but not like we are like texting every day, but we just became friends, right? Like cool people are cool people. You know, I understand what happened. I was more of it was distance, it was loneliness. You're also growing. At the time, I was 24. She was also turning 24, but she was still 23. I'm like, no, dude, I understand. I've reached a point where I understand how that happened, why it happened. And I'm like, I don't need to hold bitterness towards you. So we can just be cool. And we were cool. So I started dating another girl a bit later. She was well aware of the backstory, I think, of everything that happened between me and this girl. And I think at times when you listen to people, they'll tend to hype up your relationship with someone and they'll say, oh, no, that was the love of his life. That was this and that and that, and blah, blah, blah. So she came in with that knowledge and she was like, okay. So I still follow my ex on Twitter, right? We still like interact. So there'll be times when I'll post something funny or she'd laugh or she'd like the tweet or she'd retweet, or if she posts something funny and I would like it. Like it wasn't anything like, hey, dude, we're talking. It was literally, the passive, Twitter stuff. Ned posts something, I just laughing emojis underneath, keep moving. And this girl said, listen, my G, can you please block your friend, that one? Because it's making me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Now I understood where she was. No, don't get me. I don't even think she was being insecure or anything. I think it was a very reasonable request. Like I think it was standard. But this was now, I think, 2 years after our breakup or a year and a half after our breakup. And we'd worked so hard to get back to being civil and friendly. And we had many conversations. We had chats where we've both cried. I cry, you cry. We talk things through. And it's like, okay, my G, we're good now. So now it's like, ish, now I'm just going to wake up and block someone who I consider my friend again. That was difficult in a way to navigate that. And I refused to do it. I said no.
Oops.
Yeah. Looking back now, I'm like, oh, could have handled that better. Like I do with like a lot of things that have happened ever since the breakup. I'm like, oh, could have handled that better. Could have handled it better. Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, everyone's a genius. But I refused to do it. And that was kind of just, I think, the beginning of the end of that interaction. But that's how I see how that's where I can kind of support your point about besties. With this particular person, yes, it was a bestie thing, which became a very complicated situation. We were still friends, but I can't say she's my bestie because she's also my ex. Type of thing.
So your friendship stood and the other relationship fell.
That's a very difficult question. When you phrase it that way, the friendship continued. The friendship continued.
Continues.
It continues.
Okay.
The friendship continues.
Can I wear my hat?
And then that relationship ended. Unfortunately, I don't think I talk to that girl anymore.
Okay, can I be Cisnat?
This is net. Yeah.
So, no. You know what you've described, Ange, like with your friendship evolving and then turning into a relationship, and what you've is basically what should have happened. Is what I am pro. That you have a good. And clearly, you guys were spending so much time, and it's good that you both kind of realize, you know what, the relationships with the people back home are now just relationships in names only.
Yeah.
And you cut that off, right? Obviously, clearly it's different to your dynamic with that you've known for longer, right? Yeah. So that's why I said you would know what's what, right? But then what I would say is that I think clearly this is a developing story. No, listen to me, Senna. Listen. The thing is, and because Lapana, when you said that you went to Cape Town, because the first thing I was like, oh, distance is not good for any relationship. Of course. Right? Distance is the change in dynamic. You're coming from uni, now you're working, and like it's not good. The fact that you guys are still friends, and the fact that you say that afterwards you had all these conversations to try and be civil. Why? You didn't have kids, didn't have joint assets, you did, like, there was no, I'm just saying sometimes you need to realize, like, because subconsciously, you want to be just in each other's world, right? But what you need to be careful about, particularly with women, and is that what may happen if all of a sudden, Senna is booed up with this person, or Senna now has baby IP Thursday on the way. She may not say, but it will crush her. And because remember, you guys, the reason you're comfortable with around each other is still OT. You're not, no one has really made that other commitment that shuts the other person out. So you just need to be careful about that. But yeah, also, 100%. I think you owe it to yourself to really just like be like, is there really nothing left here? Like, I think you just owe it to yourself. I'm not saying you, and take away your pride, and like, because I know men will be like, oh, she did this or whatever, and once you've told your group chat, the boys will be like, Jomi, wafohla. But I'm just saying, I feel like you owe it to yourself to just really be like, is there not, and that can be a year-long journey, right? It's not a question that you would answer now, but I'm always,
I mean, it's been what, 3 years now, so I think.
No, but there's a reason why you guys are holding on to this friendship.
Because we're friends, because we're homies.
There's no reason to be friends with your ex.
No, but you see, she was my friend first before she was my ex.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really cancel out the fact that we still had a couple good years of good friendship. Yes, we dated, and yes, it didn't work out.
Mm,
But there's still, I think, a lot of shared experiences, a lot of memories, a lot of understanding, which you get from your other friends as well.
yeah.
I'm not saying we're friends as if we're like talking every day, like, yo, what's up, what's up. I mean, it's just like I see something funny, I'll send it to you. If I laugh at something, you post a funny.
You send each other memes?
No,
Oh, because me
no.
sending a meme.
No, it's not like me. It's
You
like
know,
if you see a
you know
funny tweet.
sending a meme is foreplay. It is legit premium flirting. If he
um,
sends my man a meme, take him, sis. Because
how? It's just a meme.
it's that
Literally. No, but so it's like you find a funny tweet, you take a screenshot, and like stuff like that. Like it's not even like anything intense. It's not like, hey, can I talk to you? Hey, it's like, no, it's just general chats you'd have with your homies as well.
okay. So do you think OT? Okay, not talk about your situation, but do you think there are past relationships? Do you think it's do you think exes can kind of like reunite and in a
Find
different
their ways back to each other.
yeah.
I think they can. I
Mm,
think it's possible. But I think what's always important to remember is that nothing will ever be as you imagined it to be. So I think they can try,
yeah,
but it'll, for anyone who wants to right now start saying, I want you back to the ex, just remember that the person you left is no longer
the
the
same
person
person.
they are now. Like a lot
Yeah.
has happened, things have changed. Um, and I'll use my situation as an example, since this is a very chilled episode. It's
Mm,
one of those where I've thought about it. I wouldn't lie and say I've never. Like I think over the last 3 years, I've had moments where I'm like, oh, actually, to go back. And it's usually like with the first girl that I dated sort of straight after, like as a rebound, it was, I didn't know it was a rebound situation until people were just pointing it out, like, dude, you're doing this, you're doing this.
mm,
And I was like, no, 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 it's not. After the fact, they tell you, side note, that person does not like me at all because naturally, I understand
yeah.
the way I offboarded it was like, oh, actually, I don't think I was ready
Mm,
for this now. Askis, I'm
yeah.
sorry, I'm out.
Yeah.
That probably, I think, left a very bitter taste. But in those moments, or after you date someone and it doesn't work out, you think maybe I'm a better off just going back.
Mm,
Like
mm,
you meet a girl, you go for dinner, you go for drinks, you talk, you maybe clash over something, it doesn't work out. Because I've dated quite a bit afterwards, and you're like, oh, should I just go back to what I know?
mm,
Because I was very comfortable in that. So I've had moments like that, but I always had to remind myself, actually, no, it won't. I'm not the same person.
yeah.
I've since then, IP Thursday didn't exist at the time. 6 foot weights wasn't happening at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
A lot has changed. So I think people can go back if they're very able to cultivate a new relationship.
Yeah, I think you're right. It has to be new. Like it can't be Uti or where like no.
Picking up where we left off.
Yeah, like it has to be.
Memories are fine. You can bury them. Memories are good to have.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're good to share them with that person. Be like, oh no, we have good memories together, but
yeah,
we'll, going forward, maybe not.
yeah. But anyway, we should end. But like the X thing is so difficult because some, God and I were talking about this J Lo Ben Affleck thing, right?
After 10 years or something, was it,
It
wait,
was longer.
2004? So, oh, 17 years they got back together.
Mm. But So but in my mind, I'm kind of like, oh, maybe they, I don't know, maybe like they were each other's loves, and that whole thing of people saying never go back.
Do you believe in that? Like that you have a love of your life, or a, in quotes, the one?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Really?
I think you could have many, um,
Yeah.
if not necessarily like one person, like different people bring out different things in you. But
Yeah.
I do think that, yeah, there is like, like the
Mm.
like okay, talk about exes, right? Like what you were saying about when you're dating people and you're just like, oh, it's not really clicking, like, you know,
Yeah.
like it did with someone else. It's just, I remember one time, actually just this year, I went on a date with this guy. It was like a park thing because I think it was like February, March, like when things were still
Yeah.
closed. And literally, like, he was talking and everything. And I was just like, and that whole time I kept thinking about my ex. And I was like, and I was just like,
and and the thing is, it may not be like I've met some amazing women
mm,
in over the last kind of 3 years, like in terms of personality qualities, like all the girls I've dated, amazing, brilliant people.
mm,
But there's just a click sometimes which just isn't there, and you almost feel like I get all your qualities, but there's
yeah.
just that
It- it-
little sort of
yeah.
fluidity to things which may not be there. And sometimes you can't put your finger on it, and it becomes difficult to go explain to someone's daughter why you can't do this when you're just like, no.
And that's what I'm saying. I do believe that there is like maybe like like, because I do have an ex who I probably would say, I don't want to say love of my life because maybe I'm going to meet someone else. But but again, like with him, he was like my high school sweetheart, right? Like he's like my
Yeah.
ex before the other one, the bestie turned into. But then
Okay. Yeah.
with him, like we whatever, and then a few years ago we kind of just reconnect because we went cold turkey. He was
Yeah.
in a different country, whatever. But it was just like, it's just little things, right? Like maybe if I say something and then he'll be like, you're lying, or like he can, like he just knows, he calls out the BS, like he, when someone knows you, like
Yeah.
they'll
Knows
back
you.
off your. And
Proper.
when I say proper, and I'm just like,
Mm.
oh my god, like I hate that. That's why I said, like, I then find it hard to be friends with ex, because I'm like, because there's a time like we were just kind of being friends, and it was like I found
Yeah.
it really difficult because I'm just like, the conversation I have with him I just don't have elsewhere.
With anyone else. Yeah.
It just it just makes it, yeah, it's not helping me,
Tricky. It's not helping you move forward to the next person and the next person.
yeah, because in my mind I'm just like, oh my god, like,
So wait, is he married, like with kids or anything?
he's got kids. um
Okay.
I don't think he's legally married. um
Okay.
but I think we're also in different countries.
That helps. Distance helps. I'm not sure if it helps or it differs. I think it helps.
but it reminded me of what you guys were talking about in your episode, where you were saying, relationships that have been, you're split by distance.
Yeah.
I think you and Tabo on like different sides. Wuti, there are some
Mm.
relationships where it's almost like you could really make it work if the if because, like, if
Mm.
you think about Zim, a lot of people, it's distance.
Yeah. A lot of them. A lot of relationships right now, split. Like I think a lot of our parents I know literally raised us in long distance relationship where the father had to go somewhere, the mother had to stay,
Yeah.
or brothers and sisters who were in university and now they just separated because or yeah, sorry, maybe people who were dating, who were in
Yeah,
university, now they're separated because someone moved, which
yeah.
is, it
And
happens.
and the thing is, those, like you're saying, with those relationships, it's so tricky because then umuntu, once they get them a paper, you know, they're flying out the
Mm.
love of their lives. they're flying out the love. Yo, oh man, yeah,
And I think that's probably, and that's why I actually made a decision to, was over a year ago, to just stay away from relationships because I didn't want, I wanted to make sure I was like done with
yeah,
that situation, because you don't want a situation where you marry someone, Gandhi, you're always looking out the window to say, I wish, I wish.
bruh.
But
Listen,
at least I think with sufficient time and a lot of conversations, I think we're both over that and in a good space.
yeah, but like I'm saying, just be mindful of, because the fact that you're still in each other's orbit is still, you know, because Senna, I know relationships where, every Monday the man is finding some parking at some mall,
What?
so that he always makes sure that, Monday is the day he says to his wife, oh, I finished late, but he doesn't finish late. But he finds 2 hours that he can call the love of his life once a month, and then they have their 2 hour conversation. So don't be,
Okay, at the mall.
no, I'm just,
Yo, that would be like, yeah, but I legit, I think I want, there's a song by this artist called Romain Virgo where he
uh-huh.
says, I think it's called Best of Me. And I think I just want, because I think I've given certain people not the best version of myself. So I want the next person I am in a relationship with to get the absolute best of me. And something which I've never said, it's a very strange, not strange, but surprising situation to be in. If you listen to the podcast, you kind of get a gist of me and Tabo's personalities.
Mm-mm.
Um, and if you knew us some 4 years ago
Mm.
and you asked us £1,000 today, who's getting married first, bro, I'd have said, this guy, this one, before me,
Yeah.
never. Never, because he was, and as much as he was, I think, dating,
Yeah.
uh, he was just Tabo. He was just like free and not so bothered Gakulu
Yeah.
with these things. Although he was seeing someone who's in a relationship, then he met his fiance now,
Yeah.
which I think also may have coincided with my breakup, which followed a few months later.
Mhm.
We all of a sudden found ourselves in completely different worlds than where we'd imagined ourselves. So I
Yeah.
just look at it now and I'm like, because he's like preparing to get married and all that stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
how things turn and how tables just switch up.
Yeah.
But it's a fascinating story when I look at it sometimes.
It is. It is. But I think I've said this to you before. Like, honestly, like, you have time. Like, for me, like, if I were advising my young brother, like, I would be like, bro,
Take all the time you
take
need.
all the time you need, because
I think the only issue I have with that is there was a point where I felt like I'm taking time, but I'm leaving broken hearts along the way.
okay, so that's another thing. So you need to, like,
Sure.
yeah, don't play with things. Like, take the time out to give the best version of yourself. Like, don't.
It's not even playing with them. It's literally giving it a shot and then realizing that maybe not, but maybe your investment into the relationship or potential relationship is bigger from the other person than from you. They end up heartbroken.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of sucks.
I think it never works when the man has to be so madly in love with you first. I
That
believe
is a
that.
theory we will explore in depth in future.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think the man has to be so in love with you at first. That's why I always say, like, when I'm talking to my friends, I'm always just like, strike the iron when it is hot. Get
You
this
want to
man
be
to
with a
commit
nonchalant
to
guy.
you. Don't go with the flow. Like, marry the ting. Because, listen, things change. Like, a year, like, marry the, like, make sure you have security whilst he's still in love and all rosy eyed and everything. Because if you leave it, you guys, men, have options and all that stuff. So I just think, Senna, you have time. Take time.
Oh, of course I do. 100%.
You literally can get married at 35. It's absolutely fine. You can get married at 35, meet a 29-year-old woman.
100%.
Like, there is no pressure because
Definitely not rushing it.
who you are at 24 is not who you are at 38. It's not who you are at 45. So
Yeah.
imagine you have to be with that person through and we no longer live in, and Futi, when now you're yet to put out your IP Thursday book and be on CNN and all that.
Ooh, I'm actually
You
going
know,
to do that. How
do you
did you
know,
know?
the parade of the women that will be knocking down? Bruh, you don't want to be like, why did I lock down? Why did I come in so early?
Yeah. But like I said, it great qualities, but it just has to feel right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And who knows, you may find yourself going back.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of water under that bridge. All in just and it's not a pride thing, to be honest. It's not I think I'm over the actual cheating itself. Like I've dealt with that. It's not something that I think of and I'm like, oh, I'm so heartbroken, I'm upset, I'm angry. Not at all. But practically speaking, it doesn't make sense. This person lives in another city.
Okay.
And when you're integrating someone into your life, I think
Mm.
it's important that the people that surround you love them, like them.
Yeah.
I after everything, it's very difficult to imagine that, and I don't want to ever also put someone's child into an environment where they have to fight to be loved. That's one. Two, I think we've just grown apart as lovers more than anything. I think we're not just different people.
Yeah. No, that's fair. It's good that you're self-aware anyway. And
Takes time.
but I love the fact that my bestie theory was proved. Y'all be fronting and acting like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like,
I
no,
I can see how it can be proven, but I've made a similar example of where it works.
this person knew you in preschool. There's no one right now, Senna, who's meeting you and you're going lunch together, you're doing this, seeing Senna with his arms and everything. That's my best. That is a lie. That is a lie. There is no grown woman right now who's meeting you like, oh, we're just friends. Huh? This lies. So that is not true at all. But Senna, thank you so much. I think we've probably done.
Has to be above 2 hours, I think.
Yeah. Gosh.
Oh, I went by so quickly.
It did. No, thank you so much. Guys, Patreon guys, Senna's doing us a favor. So I make sure you follow him and all that good stuff. And he promised to send us his song.
Oh, I'll do it after this. I'll send them to you via WhatsApp.
Cool. I definitely. Oh, Tani, the youth them don't know peace. Good time. What did you listening to, oh my God, what's that part about the Malaysian? What? Yeah. But
Malaysia, I'm
America
playing
knows.
Go Missing, how it go missing when we know that America, they must spies.
Let's see if I can.
This time, Jaja, please. This one for the guys of them youths that don't know, them not know peace. Me say inna this time, me say inna this time.
Stella, let's wait. Concert.
Jah know inna this
Let me send them to you. Let me send them to you.
me say inna this time. Jaja, please, me beg you walk beside us, even though I live up in green. Me say inna this time, Jaja, please just stop the killing. Little youth them a get up on street. Me say inna this time, Jaja, please just stop the killing. All the wars on the Middle East. Me say inna this time, Jaja, please, me beg you walk.
Hi.
Okay, hold
Last
on,
Sevenza. Hi, well done.
Considering it was just in between classes, like, yo, are you free now? Yeah, free till the afternoon. Let's just go record. And literally, that's all it takes. You write things, and then you imagine how you deliver it, and it works.
No, we would thank you, Calvin, as well. Does he still do music?
Yes, he's like on another level now. So he produces more than he sings. So he produces music for some reggae artists here in South Africa. They actually just won a South African Music Award.
Oh wow!
For the best reggae album. So that was really great. On top of that, he's like a lawyer at one of the biggest firms in the country. He's literally brilliant.
Oh wow. Cool. So guys, you're getting a double whammy. You're getting this, and then you're getting exclusive GIS audio. I'll put it on now, lock it. So you guys are getting that. You need to tell me the name of the song you sent.
Yeah, so first song is obviously Pum Pum Tight. The other one is I sent both.
Mm-hmm.
And Inna This Time.
Okay. Yes, Likwa Wenkosi. Guys, we getting the exclusive. But Senna, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure chatting.
Awesome.
Awesome. You know, if you need a favor, I owe you.
Of course. Thank you so much, Nat. This has been fun. It's really
all
great.
Right. Take care.
Cheers.